Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 50 of the Yarnivore podcast. I'm Sadie. I will be your host, also known as Sadie Rune on Twitter and Instagram, Blue Ruin on Ravelry. Our Ravelry group is the Yarnivorous group, YARNIVOROUS. Please come and join it during the knit along, which we are holding until the end of November. So finish a sweater, put it in. There will be prizes. I apologize for my lengthy absence there. I'll get into it a little bit at the end. What the heck happened in my life? But in the meantime, for those of you who just want to deal with the knitting, let's jump right on in. I do have some knitting done. And we'll start off first with the Beacon Hill. It looks like that. I was working on it last time, of course, for my sweater knit along. It is out of Elizabeth Leveld's favorite wool. Looks like this. That's pretty true to color right there, which very rarely happens, but we're getting it here on this overcast, rainy day. I'm trying some lighting techniques. I've got backlighting, I've got front lighting, I've got all kinds of lighting going on. It's not actually that bright out. It's not bright at all. It's overcast and rainy. Welcome to the winter in the Pacific Northwest. So, this is what I'm using. And it's in my Fat Squirrel Halloween bag, which just makes me happy because Halloween always makes me happy, except this year it kind of took a dump on me, but whatever. I can't fault Halloween for that. So, I am super duper close to getting to separate for the sleeves. I am a little confused at the pattern because it says it's a paid for pattern, but I will give you the snippet because it doesn't actually help you in the overarching theme, is that you repeat a certain set of rows. So I repeated the certain set of rows and I didn't get the stitch count it calls for, so do I repeat them again? So I'm repeating them again, hoping that the second repeat means I will get to where I'm supposed to. Like, am I just supposed to keep going until I get what the numbers I need? I'm vaguely confused, and then I thought maybe it was just my brain was stressed and I couldn't figure things out, so maybe I was just like, having trouble reading the pattern myself, so I didn't want to bug the designer. So I'm going to see how that goes if I just keep repeating, because after a certain point you repeat your pattern and you just keep going, and then there's the waist increases and decreases and such like that, and Lord knows I'm not putting any waist decreases in. It's not happening. So here's how far I've gotten. Like I said, I'm really close to separating for the sleeves. You can see a sleeve. It's all bunched up because this is the one I'm using. It's got a great overall motif. I really love the motif. It's making me happy. I'm knitting it on, I believe, 4.5 millimeter needles. Let me double check. Nope, 4 millimeter. Hi 6 US 4 millimeter needles. I thought it was 4.5, but it's not. And this is 100% Peruvian wool. It is not a superwash, and I'm still having to moisturize quite a bit while I'm doing it because it keeps sucking the moisture out of my hands, which is fine. As you can see, there's a little bit of Franken pea on it. Not actual pea, like Petrie fur. Which I'm fine with because, yeah, I'm fine with everything. And I had previously frogged a poncho. This is what's left of the poncho. Once I've done this, I have actually reknit everything that was in the poncho. And I had a quarter of a huge poncho done, so I feel like I'm justified in where I'm at. So there's that. The other thing that saw a fair bit of work in the absence, which isn't going to look like a lot, but it is quite a bit, is my Garter Goodness, which is part of the For Megan knit along. It is by Stephen West. It is massive. It's massive. And I was like, I'm not going to have to add the fourth skein. Oh, I did. And I am guessing I will use it all because this thing is now a blanket, basically. Like, I had to put it on a larger needle, right? 3.5 millimeter, much larger, as you can see. I think this is, it must be a 40. Probably 40, 45. And yeah, it's still massive. But I am into the last skein. We actually had an early Thanksgiving. Hubby was home for a few days, and some of the people in his area of the ship, we had an early Thanksgiving potluck with them. So I had taken this with me because we ended up playing a bunch of games as well. And subsequently, I finished my skein and I had to hand wind this while I was there. And their cat was really into this, let me tell you. It was so adorable. So this last skein is Stellar. It's on the Osaka Late, which is 75-25 superwash merino nylon. And I'm kind of sad that it's going to be ended, but I'm really excited to use it because I do like wearing large shawls when I'm sitting on the couch crafting, be it cross stitch or be it knitting, because I do get cold and I don't want to get up and start a fire or turn on the heat, because, you know, why turn on the heat if you can start a fire? So there you have it. Last skein has been started. Where's my little diddly-do? There's my little diddly-do. Like, it doesn't seem like a lot, but that's a lot. Like, it takes over a half hour to do a row at this point. Sorry, I'm a little sniffly. There is a house 2 houses down. They inherited the home from their parents who moved into a home. So they're doing a lot of renovations, and one of those renovations happens to be cutting down an asinine amount of trees in the yard. And so subsequently all of the dust and stuff gets like kicked up, which makes me sniffly. The last thing I really focused on in terms of knitting was ready for a tale of woe. So from Free Spirit Knits, which is a book that I love, I really wanted something to cover bedhead, because there are times where I just don't want to have to deal with my hair. I just want to throw on a hat and go. So I picked the Sagero Blossom hat out of Free Spirit Knits, which is by Anne Poodlesack. Poddlesack. There's her name. It's an amazing book. It has a lot of lovely things. I'm sure I'll knit a lot from it next year when Tracy from the Passionate Spinner Passionate Spinner and we're going to do a knit from your pattern stash kind of deal, where you knit from like books and patterns you previously purchased as opposed to buying and accumulating more new ones. Anywho, so I saw that was worsted. I saw that it took 175 yards. I thought, okay, I'm good. I will cast on in this gorgeous, this is really old, you can tell, because it's a knitter's palette sticker. That is now defined as really old, because I'm on a knitter's palette, which has been closed for a little bit. The yarns of Richard Jeffries, 100% worsted, merino worsted superwash, 175 yards, colorway of the flowers. Product of Canada, so my homeboy. And I love it. I really do. I love the cabling on it. It was really super quick and super fun to knit, except I posted this on Instagram and I asked people what I should do. And some people are like, oh, just finish it in contrasting color and put a pom-pom on. I hate pom-poms. I hate making them. I don't like them. My dog will eat them. My cats will play with them. I will have to pull yarn out of people's bums. It's not going to be fun. I'm not pom-pomming. Just thank you for the pom-pom idea, but it's not happening. And it's such a cute hat on me too. Like, I look really adorable with it. Like, tell me that's not cute. Tell me that doesn't look great on me. Like, I can pull my hair out. When it's not wet, it looks a lot better, because then I get like this face framing thing. And it's just, look at that. That's so cute. That's so awesome. And Maleficent Knits said just finish it the way it is and pull a ponytail through. My hair doesn't go that high in a ponytail. I don't have enough hair to do that. My ponytails are like little nubbins at the back, so that won't work. Someone said just to cinch it, and I tried that, but it pulls it into a beanie shape, and I don't want that. I wanted to keep this as like a slouchy kind of beret-ish shape. Yes, Frank? Do you want to come say hi, Frank? Frank? She's just going to meow around a little. So, one of the options I do have, and I was discussing this with the hubby because he had a little bit of time, he could contact me this week, and so I inquired to him about what he thought I should do, and I showed him my worsted stash, and he said I should knit the brim out of this, and then knit the ribbing. Rip it all out, knit the ribbing out of this, and then do the whole thing, and I should have enough, which is probably true, because that is a lot of ribbing. So that is one thing I'm thinking of doing. Now, I love this. I love the look of the hat. I love the feel of the hat. I love the style of the hat. And yes, I did look to see if I could find another skein of this online. And there's one place that has it, but I'm not paying $20 because there's $5 shipping on top of it all. And I don't believe in $5 shipping. For a skein of yarn, no. So I'm at a crossroads where I have to rip it or I have to add contrast. And I don't have anything that's going to be close. I have no worsted undyed that I could try and color match. So I'm thinking it's going to get frogged and I'm going to have to do the ribbing in a different color and then go from there. However, that took up a greater portion of my, what day was it? Wednesday? Thursday? No, yesterday was Thursday, doctor's appointment. Wednesday was a chiropractor appointment. That's when I got the fridge. So, yeah, that took the majority of Wednesday, and I would have finished it, except, yeah, no, ran out. And it's supposed to be 100. The pattern calls for 295 gram skeins, and I didn't know if that would be enough, but then you go to the RAV page, and it says it'll take 175 to 185 yards. And I thought 10 yards, I'll be able to fudge that. No, I won't be able to fudge that. Because this is supposed to be 175 yards. I should probably weigh it and see if I get 2.8 ounces or 80 grams. I'm not 100% sure it was 175 yards. There were a lot of knots in there. And there was a ply issue too. There was a really rank ply issue for a portion of it. So I don't know. Maybe it's a mill end that got dyed up. I don't know. But either way, I think we're going to have to rip it out. And that makes me sad because that's a whole day of knitting gone. And some people are process knitters and a whole day of knitting really doesn't bug them, but it really bugs me because I am both process and product and I want the damn thing so I don't have to like deal with my hair in the morning or in the afternoon when I want to go out and it looks like butt. You know, like when it gets a little greasy and you just don't want to have to deal with it, you just want to throw something on. And this would look cute and spunky, but no. You're going to have to figure something else out. So. Now, I did get some dyeing done, and there are some colorways up at the shop, and if you're into... Now, I'm going to be, like I said, I'm going to do all the Gilmore Girls colorways before the 25th one, or the 24th or 25th when they come in. But for right now, if you want to get a skein before it starts, Oi with the Poodles is back in the shop. And it's actually... Okay, so I have Oi with the Poodles. Whoa, there we go. That is true to color right there. On the baddie base... And then I have a brand new base I brought in. I'm calling it the Goth base, or Gothic base. Is it Goth or Gothic? Which one did I go with? Gothic. It's the Gothic base. It is a 70-20-10 superwash merino yak nylon. And it's a naturally gray, so it really like mutes out all the colors, but still keeps them kind of poppy. And it's a multi-plied yarn. It's not like a 2-ply. But it's very slick. It's very smooth, and it's 70% superwash merino, 20% yak, 10% nylon. Oh my god, it's so soft. 437 yards. And this is the Oi with the Poodles colorway on it. That's true to color right there. So the pinks really jump out, the blues and the purples really are there. The bright neon green is kind of muted and it's all on a gray background. So that's what they look like together. Although that's a little blown out because this one looks way brighter. We'll go with about there. So that's Oi with the Poodles. If you need to get some before the Gilmores start up the year of the Gilmore, the 490-minute specials being released on Netflix. And if you don't think I'm like anxiously awaiting, you're crazy. The other thing that I got that got dyed up because it is ever so popular is the unicorn pooping ice cream. There we go. And it's on the giant base, which is 100% superwash merino, 490 yards. And it is beautiful and spunky. And if you came here to see dyeing and to see yarn and knitting, that would be the portion you get. If you want to hear what's going on in my life or like what the last couple weeks has been like, you can stick around. If not, I understand. Check you later. So the hubby was home for a little bit, but you know what they say. There's an adage about when your military spouse leaves, and it's everything breaks in threes. Everything breaks, you know, because bad things come in threes. Everything breaks. And so far, Bebop got really sick, Petrie got really sick, and the fridge broke. So Bebop was really sick. I had to have a quick sale there because the vet bills got insane. He was in the emergency room overnight. He was in the vet's office twice. We have reconfigured his pills, and they seem to be doing better. He now can breathe, but he had to be oxygenated and put on an IV for 24 hours, and it was very scary there for a minute because it was looking like he may not come home. Luckily, he did hold out, and hubby came home for a minute or two and got to have some Bebop time, so now we feel a little more comfortable with the inevitable, because it is inevitable. And if that call has to be made, the call has to be made. Right now he is comfortable. He is not showing signs of any stress. He is, however, on restricted exercise. He's not allowed to do anything. And he has more pills than me now, and I am on a lot of pills. So, yeah. And then after that, like the same day I took him to his last vet appointment, where we were like, okay, these are working. Let's call the prescriptions in. We feel he's okay. He's stable. We're going to leave it here. You know, like after Bebop got basically discharged, clean bill of health kind of deal, well, as clean as he can get, got all of his stuff dealt with. I came home, I took a shower, I got out of the shower, and Petrie was sitting in literally like a little puddle of blood. And I flipped. And the vet couldn't get her in an emergency, so I had to go to a 24-hour emergency clinic. By the way, those cost more. And luckily, they astutely surmised that she just had a wicked UTI or a bladder infection. Now, there is a possibility that she could have cancer in her bowels because she does have mast cell tumors, which are identified as cancer, and they can spread. However, our first line of treatment was to give her a shot of really heavy-duty antibiotics and then put her on kitty morphine for about a week and a half. So, to really let her rest, and that subsequently has worked, and she's back to her peeping self. However, that's really scary and really frightening, and I thought I was going to lose her, because even when she has had UTIs in the past, because she's diabetic and she's old, she gets them, like, very frequently, almost at least one a year, sometimes 2 a year. Usually I will notice a tint, like we have pee pads surrounding their litter boxes because Frank is old and she misses. So sometimes if Petrie is experiencing technical difficulties, she'll go a little outside the box, and I will notice a tint of color. Usually it'll be tinted on the pee pad, and then I'll know to get her in. But because of everything going on with Bebop and all of the stress, and the doctor said that the more stress they're under, the more likely they are to bleed. So, subsequently, very stressful, and she was not happy with me. She wasn't happy with the world, and I'm just glad we were able to get that done. But at that point, I had pretty much had it. Because it was like everybody's falling apart, and I am too now. So then the husband was home for a little bit. That was awesome. It was like a little reprieve, and not very long. It was like 4 days or something. So like, and of course I wasn't going to podcast during that time frame. And so he went back out, and the fridge broke. The freezer just gave up. It just gave up. And we're renters, so I called the property manager. They sent someone out. So I called it in Veterans Day. The day before Veterans Day, I put in the maintenance request about it. I didn't hear anything back till Monday, and then they sent someone out on Tuesday. So at that point, we had lost our entire freezer. You know, the top fridge was still kind of working, but not very well. So it was iffy if anything in there was edible to begin with at that point. At least, like, it would cool the beverages. And so they sent someone out. People came out, they took a look. I hate having strangers in my house, particularly when I'm by myself. It's a thing. And so they looked at it and they said, well, we're going to have to order parts either way, and then they left. That evening I got a call from the property manager saying it was probably going to be a new fridge because the cost to replace all of the temperature and heating gauges and whatnot. Because what happened was the temperature gauge burnt out, and subsequently, like, the whole thing malfunctioned. And it's a really old model, so they would have to blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, I don't care, just get me a fridge. So Wednesday, so after a lot of rigmarole, Wednesday finally it came. So now I am probably going to go get groceries this weekend because I can, buy food that I can refrigerate, whereas I have not been able to refrigerate anything until like yesterday. Because after they put it in on Wednesday, they say give it 6 to 8 hours, and it's been a time. It's been a time. So that was all going on, and then there was the election. And I've heavily debated with myself whether or not I would get into this in the podcast. But there are very few people who are not white who podcast. I will be frank. There are very few of us. Now, there are some Jewish members of the podcasting community, at least 2 of which I know have chosen to, they're not in the knitting podcasting community, but they are in the podcasting community, and they've chosen to back down, shall we say, for the time being. And I watched the election unfold. My husband was at home, and then I cried. I will be honest with you. I am not white. And some people sometimes forget that, because I do pass. I'm a half and half. And I can pass sometimes. Usually in the winter when I faded. And I don't think people understand that I'm an immigrant here in America land. I came here under the Jay Treaty, which was a treaty signed by the U.S. with the Queen, that allowed the free roam of Aboriginal persons for the purpose of working in the United States. And subsequently, that is how I'm here. And if Donald Trump decides that he does not want to uphold the treaty, which was from the 1700s, he can revoke that and kick me out. I could be deported. That is a really, really real fact in our life. Because then I have to go back and I have to come back as a spouse, and that costs a lot of money. Over $5,000. We don't have, because I Dye Yarn, he's in the military, which by the way does not pay well. If you live under the assumption that the military pays well. If we had a child, we would be on food stamps. Literally, that you would be on WIC, or the Women and Children, which is as close to food stamps as you can get, but you know, it's without a second income. Lots of military families have to go on that if they have children, that we know of, at least. I cried, and I got really mad. I'm glad that now that looking at the popular vote, Hillary won, so at least I can say that, you know, the entirety of the country isn't full of racist people who want me gone and want me dead. And I know some of my friends have voted for Trump, which blows my mind. I get it. I do. I get where they're coming from. I get that some people just want to toe the Republican line, and some people believe that, you know, the system is corrupt, blah, blah, blah. But I saw a post, a Twitter that someone reposted that said, not all Donald Trump supporters are racists, but all Donald Trump supporters decided that racism isn't a deal breaker. End of story. And then there was another meme that another person on my Facebook had reposted that said that pissed them off because that's implying that everybody's racist and that's not cool. And it's like, no, that is not implying that everyone is racist. That is implying that when you looked at everything he did, when you looked at him making fun of people with mental disabilities, when you looked at him grabbing women by the pussy, when you looked at him talking about shit that they did to the Jewish community in World War II, when you heard him talking about the Jewish community like that, when you saw him coming for people like me, you decided that wasn't a big enough deal. That Hillary's friggin' emails were just too much, and that you needed this racist, bigot, sexist, child rapist. He's going on trial for it. You'd rather have him. So here's the thing. If you made it this far, and if we still manage to be friends, this is what is incumbent upon you as a Trump supporter who is supposedly not racist, because I don't believe it anymore. I really don't. It is incumbent upon you to hold those people, your senators, your representatives. It is incumbent upon you to protest on my behalf to make sure my rights aren't being squashed. Because if all you voted him in for was because you like conservative politics and you like republicanism and you want to control my vagina, which, by the way, you have no right to my uterus. I don't care what your religion is. But if you think that that's why you did it, fine. We can have a moral opposition based on religion. I'm okay with that. But if you are against racism, if you're against the Muslim registry, if you're against all of the crap that he's doing, that you're like, I didn't vote for him for that. I voted for him for fiscal responsibility, to get money out of politics, blah, blah, blah. Aside from the fact that you've been conned by all of his choices, he is putting Steve Bannon, who is the head of Breitbart, who is KKK, in business suits as his head of strategy, okay? It is incumbent upon you Trump supporters, to stand up for me and my friends. Because if you're not a racist, you are becoming a racist. Because inaction is the same as the action. And I'm going to lose a lot of people here. I'm gonna see my viewership drop. I'm gonna see my people leave my boards in droves. But I can't handle it, okay? I can't handle the idea that they're going to do what they did in World War II to another group of religious people. You killed all of my people. Someone told me that in New Orleans when I visited there when I was like 21. He's like, I thought we killed all y'all. Because I explained to him what an Indian was, like a First Nations person, a Native American was. And he's like, I thought we killed all y'all. And now no one's upholding the rights of the indigenous people in DAPL. You think Donald Trump invested in it. He's going to push it through. Let me tell you, no one cares about my people. So that really affected me. I'm still really affected. If you can't tell, like, I still cry over this. And I cry over the fact that my husband, who holds the same political beliefs I do, so don't be coming at me telling me my husband is a conservative, he's a liberal. My husband could be sent to war by a cheese doodle who got pissed off at someone on Twitter. It is our job to rally. It is our job to fight. And if you voted for Trump, then it's your job to either say, I'm a racist bigot, I'm sorry, or say, I'm sorry, I didn't know he was going to do all of this, and then stand and fight for us. If you made it this far, hopefully you don't hate my guts. I'm very passionate about this, if you can't tell. But at least I didn't swear. I will see you next week.